on CityCast Nashville, it's time for our Friday News Roundup. I'm joined by our executive producer, Whitney Pasterek, and CityCast Nashville contributor, Nicole Williams. Together, we are talking about what Metro Council learned at a disaster debrief meeting this week and the growing calls to fire the NES CEO. Plus, State House drama, Andy Ogles being Andy Ogles, and how to spend your Valentine's Day this weekend. It's Friday, February 13th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Hey, y'all, real quick before we get into today's show, we have got some very exciting news to share. Tomorrow and every Saturday from here on out, you are going to see a little something extra in your podcast feed. Why? Because CityCast is launching a brand new show. It's called Your City Could Be Better. And while I'm sure they're not referring to us, our CityCast CEO, David Plotz, wants to drive that conversation by sitting down every week with different hosts and producers from all across the CityCast network. David and his guests are going to dig into what cities are doing right, what they're getting wrong, and all the weird in-between stuff that makes each place its own. I'm going to pop in from time to time, so you're going to hear a familiar voice occasionally. I'll probably be talking about Tesla tunnels or the new stadium here or sidewalks, affordable housing, tourists versus locals, and, of course, the city and state tug of war. We're going to cover it all. We're going to learn from each other and make our cities better in the process. The guest for the first episode is Sean McPherson from Twin Cities. He'll be talking about how the resistance in the Twin Cities organized and the many shapes it took, from grocery deliveries for immigrants scared to leave their home to active engagement with ICE agents. The first episode is already out now on YouTube and in the Your City Could Be Better feed, wherever you get your podcasts. Or just check back here on CityCast Nashville tomorrow. Let us know what you think. Now, on with the show. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no.
That's right. It's my favorite holiday. I hope everyone had a chance to listen to our episode on Nashville dating horror stories yesterday with Marie and...
and Whitney.
Yeah, and Whitney. We had a lot of fun taking calls from listeners about their gruesome tales. And speaking of catastrophic events, we've got new information for you on our recovery from Winter Storm Fern. Mayor O'Connell allowed the local state of emergency to expire for Davidson County this past Sunday, but Metro Nashville departments and local partners are now offering a variety of resources to Nashvillians who still need recovery assistance after the storm.
Folks, please take advantage of these if you need anything. There are 2 disaster assistance centers open at the following locations. It's Hadley Park Community Center and Smith Springs Community Center. Those are open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. No appointments are necessary, but residents are encouraged to bring ID and any documentation related to storm impacts if available, though it's not required to receive assistance. Again, take advantage of this, folks, if you need it.
And if you are not able to go there in person, you can visit NashvilleResponds.com and check out the recovery resources on that website.
I also want to shout out Councilmember Zulfat Sawara and the 15 other council members who have filed a resolution urging the Davidson County General Sessions Court to pause or limit eviction proceedings to, quote, the broadest extent possible for 60 days.
I think it's consistent with some actions that we saw during the height of the COVID pandemic.
Absolutely.
All right, now let's turn our attention to what remains still the hottest topic in town. Was NES properly prepared for the ice storm? The Nashville Banner reports that Metro Council members Emily Benedict and Courtney Johnston have filed a resolution asking the Electric Power Board to fire NES CEO Teresa Broyles-Applin, citing systemic leadership failures in the utility company's preparation for and response to Winter Storm Fern.
Those are some incredibly strange bedfellows.
Yes.
I wish I knew enough about comic books to come up with a good analogy for that one.
Council members are not really intimately involved in the oversight and management of NES. The only role that they have is to confirm board members that are appointed by the mayor. And for some council members to have decided that they know enough about what happened to say that it was a failure of the CEO That's a bold claim to make when we are just now getting all the lights turned on and the mayor has established a commission to review this. NES, their board voted to hire an independent third party to do an investigation. You know, there's the argument, well, the buck stops with her because she's the head of the pyramid. And if that's the reason that you want to get rid of her, okay. Like, if you're upset that more than half of Nashville lost power, I get it. I'm upset too. But to claim that you have like detailed, fact-based, data-informed reasoning, I think is a little disingenuous. I would argue that the way they could be most effective is to focus their efforts where they actually have authority, which is over the board appointments, because it's the board's responsibility to manage, to hire and fire the CEO. That's the leverage that the council actually has if they want to see changes at NES.
Right. And that control over the board was brought up this past Tuesday night when council held a special committee meeting where council members questioned NES's CEO and other Metro department leaders about their response. Nicole, Whitney, y'all watched this meeting. It was 4 hours long. What stood out to you?
I didn't find it particularly helpful. A lot of time was spent by council members talking about how proud they were of Metro employees and NES employees, which, like, absolutely true, great.
And a lot of time was spent by department heads talking about how proud they also were of themselves and their employees, which good, great.
I don't know, that probably accounted for at least an hour and a half, if not longer.
Could have been an email.
Totally
meeting,
serious.
The 4-hour meeting. I'm not exaggerating.
Wow, she's not.
I also think that council members use the opportunity. I would say I don't think that they made the most of the opportunity to have all of these department heads in one place and ask pointed questions. A lot of council members spent a lot of time talking and not asking questions.
There was definitely a lot of speechifying. And I was hoping for more. Honestly, it kicked off so strong with Councilmember Sandra Sepulveda saying basically, like, we've had back-to-back disasters, you know, since the start of her time on council. And then she joked, it's like we're built on native land or something, which I was like, yes, bring the fire from the top rope. But then it did just sort of devolve. I mean, we learned a few things. Here are some of the things that stood out to me. Number one, news you can use for everybody there at home. At-large council member Quinn Evans Siegel, who was also chairing the meeting, she asked if people who ended up in a brownout still have to pay for the electricity that they were getting at their home, even if their home was uninhabitable. So, like, there were people who maybe their light bulbs worked, but their refrigerator wasn't running. Their heat certainly wasn't working. They couldn't stay in their home, even though the lights were kind of flickering. NES said, yes, that was registered on your meter. But if you had a brownout that made it impossible for you to live in your home, you should directly contact NES about your situation. So please do that. NES has data centers on the same level of restoration priority as nursing homes. So you guys can keep using your Chat GPT and grandma can stay alive. That's great. NES is also planning to bring in a consultant to let them know how they did with their response. And another place that I appreciated Councilmember Johnston pushing NES was about who all they're going to pay money to sort of tidy this up for them. She did ask, I want these specific contracts that y'all are putting out there for these consultants.
Well, and for lobbyists to try to go to the state and say, please don't take over NES and try to do like damage control. I saw one very prominent lobbyist in the audience during the entirety of this meeting, and I would bet that he was getting paid to be in the audience during the entirety of this meeting.
Why aren't
I
we
would
lobbyists?
say his billable rate is likely upwards of $1,000.
Wow.
So,
oh my goodness.
Other things that I appreciated, Councilmember Terry Vo asking, how can WeGo make fares free in emergencies? This is something that I think deserves just as much attention as we're putting on NES, which is, why can't our buses help people for free when they need to?
yes.
I appreciated Councilmember Russ Bradford asking Director Chief Swan from the Office of Emergency Management if we could be more proactive in telling people about shelters before the storm. Chief Swan said it would be difficult to predict when they could have shelters open in any given disasters, but they can look at it moving forward. And he referenced the need for a crystal ball, which I think we'd all like to have. Councilmember Bob Nash rang in pretty strong. He's a former police officer, and he was talking a lot about the way that, police stations have generators. They are ready to go. And he thinks that the NES Life Support Program, which is this list of people who NES maintains who need electricity to live, right? They're on dialysis. They're on a breathing machine. A lot of those people did not have power for a while. And he thinks that that system is unsustainable and floated the idea of potentially subsidizing generators for everybody on that list. I'd be down for that. But overall, the biggest question I think everybody wants the answer to is, can we bury the lines? Can we just bury the lines? Nicole, can we bury the lines?
No, it's prohibitively expensive. We could do more to bury certain segments, like maybe particularly vulnerable segments of our grid could be buried as we bring on new developments. This is something that NES said they're going to look at. I think the last time they looked at it was over a decade ago. And the cost then was not, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. It was cost prohibitive. It's still going to be cost prohibitive. I don't think anyone wants to pay what it would cost to do that. We have a lot of other things we could be spending money on that would be meaningful day to day.
And to be clear, folks, the city of Austin did a study. They have a similar problem. It was going to cost $50 billion to bury their lines down there. So that's, 25 NFL football stadiums.
Or just some vouchers. Just thrown out there.
I'm not doing the math on that.
I know.
Yeah, I just think there's low-hanging fruit, such as the low-hanging limbs on trees around the power lines. The CEO noted that they had fallen behind on tree trimming in, I think, 2024.
Yes.
They are ahead of schedule for 2026, but Councilmember Quante Toombs asked a very pointed question. Does that mean you caught up from 2024 and 2025? The CEO said, no, that does not mean we've caught up. We're still behind if we go back to looking at where we should be. But for the fiscal year 2026, we're ahead of schedule.
In other Metro news, the lawsuits challenging state efforts to take over our airport authority and slash the size of Metro Council in half went before Tennessee Supreme Court yesterday. And we will, of course, keep an eye out for those rulings and what they mean for our city.
We're not going to relitigate the council size one because we already know where Nicole stands on that.
I think a smaller council is better, but I don't think the state should be forcing our hand.
A smaller council might have led to a shorter meeting on Tuesday night. But speaking of the airport authority, they are wasting no time, even though they're technically in flux. They are on the brink of signing a 40-year, $34 million deal with the Boring Company to build its Tesla tunnels, tunnel time, on airport property. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, are we giving them money? No, they are giving us money. $300,000 a year adjusted for inflation to lease nearly 1 million square feet of airport property. In exchange, the airport authority predicts that they will bring in approximately $309 million in revenue, thanks also to the $5 fee Boring will pay them for every ride that whisks people through pretty lights to wherever. But here's the interesting part I'd like to get everyone's take on. According to the Tennessean, the Boring Company will also build roadway connections between the end of its tunnel and the current limo and taxi area. There, passengers will be able to enter and exit Tesla vehicles that will then transport them through the tunnel to their destination. That sounds like it goes above ground to me.
What? I thought this was underground, Whitney.
This sounds like they are going to have the tunnel entrance someplace away from the airport, and then you will be in the taxi and limo area, and then you will drive to there. How is that going to help traffic at the airport?
It's going to add Teslas just to our loop.
And every 3.6 seconds, by the way, is how quickly those Teslas need to be whipping in and out of there. So
1 million square feet sounds fake. That's ridiculous.
Also, I feel like $34 million over 40 years is low.
It's less than $1 million a year.
I'd ask for $400 million. Anyway, okay. One more Metro moment for today. Y'all have all heard of the East Bank, Nashville's next great neighborhood, which will surround the new Titan Stadium. But have y'all heard of East Bend? Whitney, what is this?
Well, thanks for asking, Marie. East Bend is Nashville's next great neighborhood, and it will be located on top of the scrapyard. There was a meeting on Monday to hear from the developers who paid $245 million for the land, which has been industrial for like a century, according to the Tennessean. Now, lead investor David Byerly says he intends to focus on families and build spaces specifically for kids to enjoy. The majority of the site would be zoned for towers with a height between 30 to 40 stories. It also appears that out of that meeting came some confirmation that the East Bank Boulevard will indeed be a 4-lane massive road and not the charming bike and pedestrian friendly corridor that we were promised. So that's fun. Thoughts?
Wait, what?
Which part?
I mean, all of it, but 4 lanes. Please explain. So what came out of that meeting?
So the boulevard that will be in the East Bend.
Yes.
Is currently a 4-lane highway, like Gallatin, not a friendly pedestrian or kid-friendly, really, if you think about it, road.
My issue with all of this is pick a different name, because we've already got the East Bank.
This is the East Bend, baby.
Is so confusing. You know what I appreciate is River North.
It's very clear.
That's what I appreciate.
It's on the river in the north.
The amount of environmental remediation that's going to be required to make that site habitable for humans is mind-boggling to me. I wonder if they've estimated that anywhere. I doubt it.
I've also heard from neighbors who live there kind of in District 6, East End, Laughlin Springs areas. They're not pleased about the
East End.
East End.
East
it
End.
Connects to the
East Bend. East Bank.
East End predates all of this, though, so they get to keep it. But they are upset about the 30 to 40 story towers that are going to get built down there. And I'm kind of to the cynical point of like, what did you think was going to happen? I mean, they told you what was going to happen, and this is what was going to happen. And now this is another developer coming in and saying, we want to do more of that.
I would personally prefer having 30 to 40 story residential towers than a scrap heap.
It's true.
Like, is that the kind of view that you want? I don't know, man.
Well, none of this is going to happen for decades. It's not pressing. But what's happening right now is the state legislature. Marie.
No. Yeah, we hate to do it, but we gotta. Let's take a look at what the state legislature has been up to this week. First, our favorite advocate of cousin marriage, Gino Bolso, is busy pushing his annual anti-LGBTQ plus agenda.
According to the Tennessee Lookout, a slate of 5 Republican-sponsored bills advanced through subcommittee on Wednesday, including legislation that would allow private companies and individuals to ignore the entire 14th Amendment and the fact that gay marriage is the law of the land. Other bills would strip anti-discrimination protection from LGBTQ plus Tennesseans, block doctors from asking minors about body dysmorphia without a parent present, and my personal fave, the incredibly stupidly named No Pride Flag or Month Act, which does exactly what it says. We're back here again. These tend to come through committee and then stall, many of them, many times in the past.
Particularly because they have to also be passed by the Senate, which seems to be not as plagued with unserious people.
Right. And a reminder, we'll say it again. What are these? Lawsuits.
Lawsuits, not laws.
Ugh. Well, the news isn't much better for immigrants in our state. The Illegal to be Illegal bill, part of Republicans' Immigration 2026 slate that was formed in cooperation with White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, has also passed out of subcommittee. According to the Lookout, this would make it a Class A misdemeanor punishable by a year in jail to remain in Tennessee following a final order of removal under federal law or to re-enter the state after being deported.
I just don't understand the point.
I don't either.
Who is spending the time drafting these bills? We don't need them. What does that accomplish?
Also, who is it who, if someone comes and says, hello, I'm sorry, you are in our country illegally or you've overstayed your visa and it's time for you to go. And they're like, nope.
Right.
And they just sit there.
And then they get a misdemeanor. They're going to get bailed out. Like, what?
We want them out of the country so badly, but we're going to put them in jail for a year? How does that help?
And then spend taxpayer money.
I thought this was all about efficiency and taxpayer money. People are not right. All right, what else is happening, Marie?
Well, on the private school voucher front, a K through 12 subcommittee killed a Democratic bill demanding the state collect data about the families and students who are receiving vouchers. But according to the Lookout, a similar bill from Republican Jody Barrett is still alive.
You know, the funniest part of that to me was Democratic Representative Sam McKenzie's bill would mainly give information about whether the children receiving vouchers were enrolled last year in private or public schools. Republican Representative Jody Barrett's bill actually would collect and provide a lot more information than that. And Republican Rep Mark White, who's the chairman of the House Education Committee, said he voted against McKenzie's bill because he didn't think it was the right tool, but said when discussing Barrett's bill that he could support a generic measure showing how many of the program's recipients come from public or private schools, which is what McKenzie's bill was.
Democrats say something bad. Republicans say something, I don't know, maybe it's worth considering. The aristocrats.
Yeah.
More like the Aristocats. That's what this feels like.
Well, I want to shout out WSMV for unearthing my favorite bill of the session so far. We usually have a set of these, we're going to vaccinate lettuce or get rid of chemtrails or what have you. This year, I want to shout out.
No, we're not vaccinating the
Right.
lettuce.
I'm sorry. You're right. We can't. That is, in fact, now prohibited under Tennessee law. Representative Michelle Renault, a Republican out of Signal Mountain, has introduced a resolution to add a provision to the Tennessee Constitution establishing the right for Tennesseans to grow their own food. Were they coming for my maters and I didn't know about it?
Apparently, there have been restrictions in other states. I can't remember if it was Ohio or Virginia. The government didn't let them keep the wheat that they grew in their backyard.
That's why I'm proud to live here in freedom-loving Tennessee.
Yes.
Keep your wheat, people.
Wheat.
Don't be gay, but keep your wheat.
Donna, good news.
We have got to start today by saying sorry to our good friend Andy Ogles that he was so scandalized by Bad Bunny's incredible Super Bowl halftime show. The congressman who remains under federal investigation for fraud, he called Bad Bunny's performance in a social media post pure smut, and that it featured explicit displays of gay sexual acts, women gyrating provocatively, and Bad Bunny shamelessly grabbing his crotch while dry humping the air.
Yes, he's asking for an immediate investigation by Congress into the NFL, to which I say, best of luck to you with that.
Luck, my friend.
The only time in my life I'll actually root for Roger Goodell. But I also can't believe the esteemed congressman who allegedly represents Nashville didn't even take a minute away from his busy outrage schedule to praise former Nashville Symphony music director Giancarlo Guerrero, who appeared as the conductor of Bad Bunny's string section. It was so cool to see him there. I mean, really, for me, second only to Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
Well, speaking of the Nashville Symphony, they have announced Giancarlo's successor, Leonard Slatkin, is stepping into the role of music director of the Nashville Symphony for the next 3 seasons, starting in August. Slatkin is a Grammy Award-winning conductor and composer who has led major orchestras, including the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, National Symphony Orchestra, and St. Louis. His goal is to make the Nashville Symphony feel more connected to everyday Nashville, like showing off musicians on social media and creating a more interactive concert experience that invites the community in. As the daughter of symphony musicians, I say, yes, please. Let's do it. Let's go. Everybody should feel happy and comfortable and able to go to the symphony.
And Leonard, if you're listening, Whitney would like to speak to you here at CityCast Nashville. Come on the show.
Don't worry, Leonard. I've already told your publicist that. You're fine.
Oh, well, this is some exciting news. Southwest Airlines announced 3 new routes to BNA for 2026. This includes a year-round service to Reno, Tahoe, 4 times a week, seasonal service to El Paso 4 times a week, and 5 times a week, flights to Manchester, Boston. They're also adding more direct flights to Burbank later this year, so you can all get your California on.
Why is it only seasonal flights to El Paso? There's no bad time to go to El Paso, except when the federal government has mistakenly closed the airspace so that they can shoot drones at birthday party balloons.
Oh.
But that's behind us now. More good news. 2 local museums, the Jefferson Street Sound Museum and the Museum of Christian and Gospel Music, were officially added to the U.S. Civil Rights Trail this week. The trail spans more than 130 sites across 14 states, connecting museums, churches, schools, and other places where history was made and protests took shape. If you've been to either of those museums, you know how powerful they are, and this further emphasizes the importance of Nashville's role in the civil rights movement, which is something I really wish we would use to get more tourism, because those would be good tourists.
Jefferson Street Sound Museum's founder and curator Lorenzo Washington said to be included as a stop along the Civil Rights Trail helps to guarantee the histories, the stories, the music, the songs, and the civil rights events that happened on and near historic Jefferson Street will not be forgotten. Well, ladies, one thing that we have forgotten to mention is the fact that tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Crickets.
Yes.
Insert crickets.
Crickets. Okay. But the national scene has their love issue out now. Nicole, I hear you would like to read from this issue live today on the air because love has inspired your heart and soul.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I do love the love issue because every year the scene does this thing called Sweet Scene, and they let anyone write in a short little Valentine's wish, and they run it in this issue of the scene. Some of them are funny. Some of them feel very intimate, like I'm being invited into a person's relationship, which is interesting. NES got a Valentine. NES.
Oh.
A big happy Valentine's Day to the Nashville Electric Service for all your hard work and dedication through Winter Storm Fern.
That's nice.
So,
Wow.
It's like we are forced to choose you.
yes, you have a monopoly. Congratulations.
Right.
Actually, NES got more than one shout out, it appears. So
They've been on a lot of people's minds.
some people are feeling the love. A lot of people are not, but some are.
Yeah. Obviously, every employee, every line person, everyone who worked 16-hour shifts to get us back up and running, even those who reportedly at the council meeting, their houses burned down and they kept working.
Yeah, that's going to be a big stay home for me.
Yeah. I mean, that person, shout out to that person, love letter to you. But if my house burns down, there will not be a CityCast Nashville podcast for the foreseeable
Correct.
future.
Just for a minute. Yeah.
Also in the Scenes Love issue, we learned that Nashville's first all-romance bookstore, Slow Burn Bookshop, opened a permanent location in East Nashville. Marie, this seems like it's up your alley.
Yes, I'm into smut.
You and Andy Ogles.
That's right. Exactly. I am actually quite excited about this. It turns out on their grand opening, 1,600 people showed up, which
Whoa.
is really a lot of people for those romance novels.
Well, Marie, are there any events this weekend for people like me who hate dating and wish they were a brain in a jar?
Why, yes, Whitney. There is the Goth
good.
Prom at Eastside Bowl tomorrow on Valentine's Day. It's Into the Labyrinth theme featuring DJ Ichabod and Von Burke. It's 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Woo,
That's late.
that's a long.
But hold on. The Labyrinth, is it like David Bowie Labyrinth? Like Magic Dance Labyrinth?
Yes, Whitney.
Oh my God. I love that movie so much. David Bowie in that movie and
I
his
know.
codpiece were an instrumental part of me discovering an aspect of my sexuality as a young child.
Making a joke. Yes.
If it wasn't
Same.
9 p.m. to 3 a.m., I might go. I am interested also in Emo Night at Marathon Music Works tomorrow. That's featuring Travie McCoy of Gym Class Heroes and Ace Enders of the Early November. Starts at 8 p.m. Emo for Valentine's Day. That's about where I sit. I'm not okay. My Chemical Romance.
Well, there's also, I would recommend this as a great date night activity. Tomorrow, Valentine's Day, also is Downtown Art Crawl. Obviously, it's at various locations all downtown, 6 to 9 o'clock. It's free, and several of the places have wine.
Marie, are you going to Acme Feed and Seed tonight to find your heated rivalry lookalike heartthrob, even though the men on that show are more into one another than you?
I am obsessed with this. So tonight, folks, from 6 to 9 o'clock, they're having a Galentine's Day party at Acme, and it's going to be a heated rivalry lookalike contest. Sign up begins, I believe, at 6, and I think it's going to be incredible.
If you look like those men and you're heterosexual, please email us at nashville@citycast.fm. And finally, just reminding everybody about the Porches Heartbreak Happy Hour. That's on Sunday at Jackalope. Doors at 6:30, hosted by our friend Lane Scott Jones. Nicole, did any of these entice you into leaving your house this weekend?
Nope.
Okay. Well, with that note, hey, everybody. We made it through another one.
We did. And again, celebrate Friday the 13th by listening to our Nashville dating stories.
And celebrate Valentine's Day. It doesn't just have to be about romantic love. You can also just give a lot of kisses to your
That's
dog,
right.
which is
I
what I'll
love
be
it.
doing.
Or your cat.
Or your cat. Oh, I'm sorry. Cat erasure again.
Or your horse if you're Justin
Thank
Jones. Love everybody. Happy Valentine's.
Y'all take care of each other.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson. Our executive producer is Whitney Pasternak. Our producer is Daniel Sumstein. Our CityCast Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury, with extra support this week from Natalia Aldana. Our theme music is by Prof Jenkins, with additional music by Tambor from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our CityCast Nashville newsletter. We'll be back Tuesday morning after observing President's Day on Monday with more news from around the city. Toodles!